Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we have a very special project on the bench, and actually it's a project that take back a bit to my roots and why I started this hobby on watch restoration and watchmaking. So you see this beautiful Pontiac. Actually, it's a watch. My wife and I went to a watch fair, and my wife fell in love with this dial. And we bought this watch. Actually, it was very cheap. I think it was like 20 euro, a 20 euro watch, and my wife doesn't really care about the brand or the movement inside the watch, but she really fell in love with the look of this unique dial. Actually, you see this dial with patina, which is very unique and very beautiful. So actually about the watch, you see that the watch was not running perfectly. And what I will try to do, I will try to do a service on his watch and to restore it, and hopefully like to have a nice piece to add to the collection, and I can give it to my wife. So you can see the movement inside. So it's an ETA movement. Actually, everything is written with Pontiac. You see the case back. You see the movement there with the Pontiac sign. We can see already damage. You see on a stem there the rust. So that need to be changed because it's quite rusty. But so far I did not see anything else wrong. And we saw as well that the crystal is cracked, so that will have to be replaced. Now I'm removing, and you see there is a parts coming off there. The stem, yeah, and the crown. Wow, that's a lot of rust. Yeah, you see that amount of rust that came out of the tube there. So there was definitely some water that came in. Even actually, you see the name of the watch. You can see there is a Pontiac Nageur. So Nageur is mean swimmer in French. So it was probably a watch that was for swimming. So if it's for swimming, it means watertight. But looks like some water came into it. So we see later on a bit if there is extra damage on the watch. But so far, obviously, like the stem need to be replaced for sure. So I will place it back now on a movement. I mean, I will try to place it back. So you see, I try to screw it, but it doesn't go. It doesn't stay in place. So it's definitely something wrong there with the stem. Just trying to unscrew it a bit more, see if I can insert it back. Yeah, it looks like it went in a bit further, so I can secure it. So I managed to align the hand, and I'm going to remove this hand with my Presto tool there. You see, it did not grab underneath. Just need to make sure it goes underneath the hand. The hand actually our hand is quite low on the dial, yeah. And you see the second hand is moving, but it stopped, yeah. So it's something wrong. Just placing into this box edge to make sure it's safe. And if you have any, I just put down below as well in the description some of the tools that I'm using in this video. But obviously, this is a hobby that require a lot of tools. So if you are a tool junkie, yeah, that would be a great hobby to pick up because you need to buy a lot of different tools to do different things on a watch. Just you see there, the dial is totally loose. Yeah, that's strange. I did not unscrew the dial fit screw. Just checking if the dial fit are present under the dial. Yes, we can see they are there. So that's good news. But yeah, that's strange. The previous watchmaker. So again, I put the dial in this box just to make sure it's safe. But I don't know, during the previous restoration, or the dial fit, you see, that's a screw there that's holding the dial in place. It's there, but they were totally loose. Yeah, it was not tight at all. So the dial was moving around. Okay, so now I'm just secure them just to make sure. And you see there, that's a broken part. Yeah, we have this, and it looks like a hair. I don't know. It's weird, like this long kind of brush. I don't know what it is. It was inside the movement. And actually now you see the movement is running. So I remove these broken parts and this kind of hair that was inside. And now I don't know if I was blocking the movement, but now the movement is running. Anyway, we need to disassemble everything. But now the movement is running. We need to remove the power. First, I will release gently the power there. You see by holding the click with my tweezer and the crown between my fingers, just releasing it slowly. And the movement you saw is just stopped very suddenly. Yeah, that's mean yeah, probably like some dry up oil or grease, and the friction is very high in the movement. So we need to disassemble everything, give it a proper clean in a washing machine, and we'll have to put back everything together. obviously check that all the parts are good and re-oil and re-grease this movement properly. And we'll see obviously which kind of result we can get on this old Pontiac. It's just removing now the palette for cock, just gently. So Pontiac actually, just look at a bit. Yeah, it's a brand that disappeared, I think, and we don't hear. Actually, it was a brand, a Belgian brand. So it was probably present like in France, Netherlands, like and Belgium, obviously. They make quite a lot of watches, I think, in the past. And obviously, you see this one is with an ETA movement, so it's quite good. Like it's not quite a good movement. And the design, obviously, they probably have like a lot of different watches. And this one was like kind of a diving watch with, like I said, a nageur, which is a swimmer. So you could go in the water with this watch, which was watertight at the time. Okay, just removing there the train of wheel bridge, and we have all the wheels underneath, all the wheels. Sorry, like and this one with a long pivot where we have the sub-second hand on it. Just checking that the pivots are fine. Removing now the ratchet wheel with this big screw there. And the ratchet wheel was actually very tight. I never had that before. Like you see, I had to use some strength to remove the ratchet wheel. It was like a bit friction fitted. And here we go. And you see underneath this green, it looks like, I think at the beginning I thought it was corrosion, but I think it was old grease, yeah, that they used on this watch. And oh, look at the amount of play that there is here on the mainspring assembly. Like that's not good, yeah. That obviously can create some friction and will reduce the amplitude of the watch, and your watch will run very badly. So we will address this when we put it back together. But first, let's check if there is any more part which is damaged or need attention when we disassemble it. Okay, just grab it up. The part just flew away like it was a little ring, and very greasy, like very slippery. And when I just grabbed it with my tweezers, it just flew away. Okay, just removing the click there. Okay, and you see the spring underneath, which is again a bit different than usual. It's kind of a copper spring there. Now I can remove the barrel bridge. And underneath we should have the mainspring assembly. Just a screw that just fell down there. And you see some wear as well on the top of the barrel bridge here. That's probably due to the play that we saw with the mainspring assembly. So you see how like the mainspring is very sticky it's stuck to the bridge here. So like I say, it's probably the dry up, like the oil or the grease that dried up there. And yeah, that need to be clean. So get it a bit later on. So we move to the dial side and disassemble the keyless work. Obviously, with this part, we saw like already the arm is broken, like the arm which is attached here is broken. So we'll have to replace this part. We'll have to find a new part and replace it. And now I'm just removing a few wheels. There we go. And you see these wheels as well underneath. They have this green grease or oil there dried up there. So yeah, I think they use this grease like on the movement. I have no clue what it is. It's very different so compared to the grease and oil that we are using, what I'm using. Yeah, and you see when the watch is not running for a while or with time, the grease like become very hard, and obviously your watch cannot run properly if it's not maintained and if the oil and grease is not cleaned up and replaced frequently. So now I'm cleaning the jewels with a bit of piece of pegwood just to remove, and you see the hole there, just to remove like the dried up grease and oil as much as I can. And this will help during the cleaning process when I put it in the machine. The oil and grease will be moved away like more easily if you want. Just placing back the balance assembly on the movement just to keep it like it's a safe place to keep it for the cleaning. Just make sure we align the balance wheel there. Here we go. And now I can secure it and put it in place with the screw. Again, on all the bridges, I'm going to clean all the jewels with a piece of pegwood, cleaning, like you see, like all the dried up grease that I can remove with the pegwood. Just try to remove as much as I can. Now I'm going to open the mainspring assembly there. Just pop the lid up and see what we have inside. Just lifting it up there. Barrel arbor in the middle. Gently removing the top. Very sticky as well there. Oh, and see inside as well, it's very dirty. It's like it's black. So I don't know. They put like a grease as well, like a bit like you put on automatic watches. You need to put some graphite grease on the walls, which is black, but there they put it everywhere. So the mainspring is obviously quite well lubricated, but is very sticky as well. So you see my finger coat there? They are getting black with all the product that's on the mainspring. So I'm just going to remove the mainspring. We are going again to clean it as much as we can before we put it in a cleaning machine. But the mainspring actually looks good. The shape is quite good. So we probably can reuse it. And like, I'm cleaning the part with Rodico and with a pegwood as well, just to make sure I remove as much as I can before we put it in a cleaning machine. Okay, cleaning the pivot there of the wheel, because we saw on this watch, like, yeah, the oiling and greasing is very dried up. So again, cleaning the pivots on the wheels just to make sure we get loosen up a bit. And we put that in all the baskets, and these baskets, all the parts will go in a cleaning machine. Okay, so while the parts are cleaning, I would like to talk to you about my Patreon. I have a Patreon account actually set up just to help and support my channel, because it takes me a lot of time and a lot of effort to put this content together. It's a very special content that I think you cannot find in a lot of places. So if you want to support me and hopefully help me to put better content, you can find a link down below and to support my channel. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank my existing patrons. So Rune, Christian, Courtney, Alan, Swami, David, Ted, Michael, Stephen, John, Tim, and Gregory. Thank you so much. I would have never imagined to have so many supporters of this channel in such a small amount of time. And this keeps me very, very motivated to put like more content to you guys. And for the others, if you want to support me, you know where to find a link down below, and go to my Patreon page. So thanks in advance. Okay, so now we'll focus on the case. I'm just going to remove the crystal because you see the crystal is cracked. The case will go into the ultrasonic machine as well to get a quick clean. And we put obviously a brand new crystal. This one is broken, so we cannot reuse it. Okay, you see the mainspring came out quite good out of the cleaning machine. Like, we don't see any sign of this black grease. And I'm going to use my set of winder from Bergeron to rewind the mainspring. So now I put it on this handle there, and I'm just going to wind it back into this winder. And after it's wind, basically, now I'm just going to remove the handle, and you will be able to see the mainspring inside. You see there, the mainspring is fully winded. So first, putting a bit of grease there on the bottom of the barrel assembly, and now I can just insert the mainspring that's just winded, putting some oil there, and we can insert the barrel arbor. Here we go. Putting some oil there. I'm putting some medium viscosity oil, and this is some special oil there, some 8200 for mainspring, putting on a lid so that the mainspring is lubricated at the top and bottom. Okay, we can close now this assembly with this little tool. Just putting in, and you will see I will just gently press, and now the assembly is fully closed. So to thanks everyone and supporting me on this journey, I would like to do a special giveaway. I would like to give one of my watch that I restore on the channel. So for this, if I reach 10,000 subscribers before the 25th of December, I will do this giveaway on the 26th. So we need to do 3 simple steps to enter the competition. First, you need to like this video, be a subscriber, and put a comment down below what you love about watches. And we will see on the 26th who will win this beautiful watch. Okay, so now we are going to focus on the oiling the jewels from the balance assembly. So I'm opening the shock spring there. See this little spring on the top, and this gives me access to the jewel. Okay, so I'm going to do two steps basically. I clean the jewel in one deep solution just to make sure it's very clean. And now I'm treating the cap jewels on the in epilam. So this will help retain the oil that I'm going to put right in the center where I'm going to put the oil. So just drying it there. And now I'm applying a drop of oil right in the center. And when it's done, I can put back the chaton on top and I can place it back into the balance. So basically now we just oil one joule, closing the shock spring on top. And we need to do the same process on the other side, on the dial side. We are going to open it, clean it, treat it in epilam. And what I like to do on the second one, when I treat it in epilam as well, there is two extra parts that need to be treated in epilam. We have the escape wheel and the pallet fork. So I'm going to treat them in epilam right now with the jewel. And we will oil them later in the assembly, but like that for sure, I know that these parts are fully treated with epilam. Just cleaning the pivot point on this part because I just want to remove the epilam for this part there. Placing a drop of oil like we did on the other jewel right in the center. And when it's done, I can place it back into this position. And basically now I know that the balance is fully oiled, fully clean. So we'll be ready when the watch will be fully assembled. We can put back the balance and we know it will be ready. Okay. So first when I assemble the watch now, I'm just going to put the balance assembly. Putting some oil there, we're going to put the center wheel. There we go. Now it just fell in position. Perfect. Putting the setting lever screw. And now the bridge. And you remember this bridge, I just want to check that now all the parts are clean. Just going to install it fully. Like you see, I'm pressing down. There we go, fully in position. Just going to put the screws just to make sure it's sit down and it's in position. And what I'm going to do, I just want to make sure and check like the place that we saw when we disassemble it is still there. Yeah, you see? And you see when he move, like he's touching the center wheel, and that's not good. And this is with my puncher. I'm punching it to reduce the hole size. I'm reducing the hole size, and you see now actually the hole is too small. It's not fitting over the mainspring assembly. And now with a smoothing brush, I'm opening very slightly the hole, step by step, and checking every time. And now when I put it on, now you see it's going in, and you see there is no play anymore. So that's the way you do it when you have too much play there. You reduce the hole size and you open it slowly with a smoothing brush until you get the right size and the play disappear. And like that, for sure, you know that your watch there will be no friction between the center wheel and the mainspring assembly there. Okay, so now I'm putting the click with the spring underneath. Placing back with the screw. Placing the ratchet wheel. There we go. Perfect. Checking when it's turning and it's fully in position. It's actually quite tight. It's even after cleaning, it's a bit more tight than usual, like the fitting, but on a bar arbor, but it's fine. I'm going to put all the wheels from the train of wheels, starting by the escape. Now I'm putting the wheel with the long pivot underneath. That's actually the pivot, which is where you have the second hand from the sub-second dial. Here we go. Now it's in position. And the last wheel from the train of wheel. Third wheel is in position. And now I can put the barrel bridge on the top. So try to align all the pivot points into the jewels there. Using it slightly. You see now the center wheel is in the jewel. And basically I like to do it with my two hands, just one hand, putting a tiny bit of pressure with this plastic stick there, and with my tweezers, I will make the wheel move until everything fall into place. And the way to check, like a lot of people ask me, how do you check when you're turning? You see there the ratchet wheel, everything is turning together. It means that all the wheels are in the pivot point. So I just keep a bit of pressure on it, put a screw down everything, and now I know that the wheels have no risk of damaging the pivot point of the wheels, and they are all in place. Okay, so I just find that's a spare movement actually I bought on eBay. It's actually I was very lucky. I found an ETA movement that I wanted, and actually it was a Pontiac as well. So there is a couple of parts. It was very cheap. It was like maybe 15 euro. So you remember this ring there? I lost it when doing the assembly. Actually, it jumped and I did not find it, or I did not look for it because I knew that I had a movement with the spare wheel. But yeah, the first one I could not find it, and it was this wheel, this part, sorry, on the top there, the setting lever spring there with the arm which is broken. That's the piece which I'm holding in my tweezer. So gonna clean these parts in one deep solution. Just put it in, brush them, and we're gonna dry them after that, just to make sure the parts are clean. Here we go. Now it's just coming out of cleaning, going putting on absorbing tissue and dry them. Okay, so now I can put this part that I just get back from my spare movement, and I can put the crown wheel in position, and this screw there. Remember, if there is one screw in the center, it's reverse threaded. So when you disassemble it on reassemble it, you need to turn in the opposite direction that what you will normally do on a screw. Okay, so now we move to the dial side with the keyless work. Greasing there the crown wheel, the winding pinion, sorry. You have the clutch. I did not grease there the stem because actually this stem is still the old one. I'm going to replace it at the end. So I just place it back now just to make sure it's keeping the part in place. Holding the oiling, sorry, or more greasing. The blue that you see is grease. Greases the clutch there. And I'm oiling now all the pivot points for all the parts. Putting the setting lever there in place. And this actually need to be screwed from the other side. And you see after screwing, like it does this job when I'm pulling. It's actually will rock left and right. And you will see a bit later on that will be used to set the time, or that's why we call it a setting lever. We switch from the winding position to the setting position. We put the yoke, that's the yoke spring that I'm putting in place. Greasing some point there. And you see I'm using grease because this is some parts that we see a lot of friction. So we use like heavier than oil. Obviously, it's this blue grease. Putting the cannon pinion there, which is friction mounted. So need a bit of a push here to put it in place. The minute wheel. We already lubricate the jewels, which is the jewel which is under the minute wheel. And putting the part that I just disassembled on my spare movement. Putting the screw now in place, and you will see actually this part is quite critical because this is a setting lever spring, and this make you see now I'm arming the spring arm there, putting some lubrication, and yeah, you see when I'm working there, this what make the setting lever keep some tension and give the two position of the setting lever, which is like time setting, like I said, and the winding position. Oiling the jewel. And so now we are done on the dial side. We are going to oil the jewel on the balance side here. Very important because all this pivot point there is where you have friction between the wheels and the bridge. And you want to have the proper lubrication just to make sure the friction is reduced to a minimum to have a watch that run it's more efficient basically. If you reduce your friction, it will be a lot more efficient and better at timekeeping. Just put the pallet fork, and obviously as well we will grease the pallet fork, but that's very tricky to do it, so I always do it off camera. Putting a bit of a wine in the watch, checking if the power is coming to the pallet fork, and if it's clicking, yeah, you see it's clicking left and right, so that's good news. So now we are ready and should be ready to be installed the balance wheel. Just make sure align the balance on the bottom pivot there. Just turning it around just slightly. And we are gonna just drop the bridge and see if you want to start. Oh, yes, that's it. You see, he tried to start and he stopped and suddenly he started again. So that's it. Now I just press it down, fully in position, and we can put the screw. There we go. And actually now the beat error was very high on this watch. And the way you adjust, you don't have a quick setting for the beat error. You need to disassemble and get access, you see, to the hairspring. And now I'm twisting the collet there to the right just to change the angle of the hairspring. And this will help adjust the beat error. And on this watch, to be fair, it was the beat error at the beginning, it was around 6.5. I don't remember. It was very high. But I don't know for what. It was very sensible on this watch, and I really struggled. I went left, right, and did it a few times. Um, you will see at the end the result is not perfect. Much better at the beginning, obviously, but I don't know why. It was very sensible. So yeah. Now I'm just giving a quick polish on the hand because actually there is a bit of rust on the hand, and I didn't want to redo the loom because I really like this dark loom on the hand, and I think if I put a brand new loom, it will not look good with the dial. So yeah, so on this one you see I managed to remove the rust quite well. Just checking when I put the how hand, yeah, it looks good. I'm aligning it to midnight so I can put the minute hand. Just again, just put the minute hand in place. I'm gonna align it to midnight. Just press it. There we go. Just checking the hand are not touching each other. And the alignment at 6 o'clock, yeah, it's perfect, you see. And the last one is a small sub-second hand. Just press it in place as well. There we go. And just checking that the hands are not touching the sub-second hand when it going over it. Perfect. Okay, I just replaced the crystal of camera, and you see I give a brand new look and expose this beautiful dial, which is actually the party piece of this watch. Is so nice and so unique. So yeah, it's really like vintage watches as well because you see like this watch obviously evolved maybe with a bit of water damage, I don't know, but it gave it this beautiful dial, which is unique. Yeah, you don't have probably another piece, even for sure, you don't have another piece with the exact same dial, and that's what's nice as well in vintage watches. Yeah, and it's great to see like this watch is not that old, but to bring back like to life because this watch was not working. Such a nice like older piece is very nice. Okay, so now I'm just replacing the. I bought a new winding stem, putting the new crown. I mean the original crown. Sorry, it's I did not bought a new crown. That's the original crown. Just screwing it on your new stem, and now I'm gonna put it on a movement. And you see, when you have a new stem, it's always longer, so you need to adjust it. Now I'm measuring it. You see, you have 3.1 millimeter between the crown and the case. Just going to remove the stem there. Just remove the crown, and basically we are gonna take the same measurement and mark it on the stem. Just put a small mark there. And we are going to cut it. I'm just going to cut it with a pair of pliers to the mark that I made, like it was 3.1 millimeter. I'm just going to grind the hand because obviously the thread is not properly done when you cut it. So just make it perfectly flat. And we're just going to put the crown back on it. And I'm going to check in the movement if it's, and you see the position is perfect. Just going to screw it now in position just to check when I pull on it and push if it's good. Yes, coming out, coming in, and you see it's perfectly flush with the case. So the size is perfect. Now I just put a drop of Loctite, the green one, on the thread, and at the end on the thread where you put the crown. So that for sure the crown will stay glued actually to the stem. And now I can put it back to the watch, and yeah, you see still the same. The position is still good. Just going to replace the old O-ring that was in the case. I was fully dried up and it was not doing its job anymore. So I put a new one that I'm greasing in silicone grease there and place it back into the case. And basically that's it. We have the watch, and the only question now is see the result on a time grapher when we're gonna close the case back and see which kind of result we are getting on a time grapher. So you see the watch when it's on a time grapher, it's running around, it's losing 2-3 seconds per day, which is not bad. The amplitude of 296, which is good by using the same mainspring. And you see the bit error is around 1.8, which is a bit high. I like it to get it below 1, but yeah, I could not. It was too hard. And this is the finished product on the wrist of my wife. Beautiful, beautiful watch and beautiful dial. I hope you like this video, and I see you next time for my next restoration. Bye bye.